On social media platforms today, quality content often goes unnoticed. On Den, users get paid for the creation, evaluation, and curation of quality content. Content creators are rewarded based upon the engagement and reach of their post or comment. Content evaluators are rewarded based upon the speed and results of their predictions about which content will trend or go viral. Community owners are rewarded based on engagement within their community. On Den, quality content pays.
Hello, and welcome to DENDAO meeting for December 15th, 2022. It's 3 p.m. Eastern. It is noon on the West Coast of the United States, and we do this every Thursday for Den.Social to talk about all the DENDAO things that DENDAO has to talk about. We've got Joe Dragon with us today. We've got I Am for I Am, and we've got Greg, and we're going to go over an agenda and look at a DENDAO, what do you call that, proposal that looks like it was approved. So if you looked at the agenda, by the way, sorry for posting over in the Den layer instead of the DENDAO layer, if that would confuse anyone. It's in both places now. So in the agenda, it says to go vote on a UI change. What is that about? It's already passed. So what that was is somebody brought up that the visibility for the blue dot that shows up in the here, let me just share my screen real quick because I've got the blue dot. The last two times that I think Joe and I both explained this, neither of us had a blue dot to show. So let me present this. Oh, we've got new options. There's been updates to StreamYard. Is this the one? That's the one. Cool. So if you pull mine up real quick, it's over on the right. Get the little blue dot, and everything's kind of blue. If you notice, like the energy number is blue. There's a lot of blue, right? Highlight appears blue, and so somebody had brought up that it kind of gets lost, and they don't notice when they have a notification. So the suggestion was to make it red. Some folks don't like red, but if you look at the discussion that's in that vote, it says red or another color that is more visible, a louder, more loud color. So we could go with purple, or we could go with, something that's not as jarring as red if we wanted to. But that's going to be rolled over into, we can go back now to the actual DENDAO proposal. That'll be rolled into the priorities list, because there is an item on the priorities list for overhauling notifications. So that gets added to that. And whenever we get to that point, it'll get processed through. And that's how we add things to the list. So thanks for the suggestion. Thanks for voting on that. And, stuff like, I know I Am for I Am has a similar request that needs to be voted on to add wherever it's appropriate for the list of layers, whenever you go search for layers. And that might be like a quality of life update or something like that. So things like that, let's get them voted on and get them in. In addition, so that's that. We've got LCP. So December LCP is underway. If you check out the announcement for that, we've got the criteria for the winners that are going to be chosen this month. It is number 1 ranked by unique voter. And then this month, which is a change from last month, we'll be doing number 8 and number 21 as ranked by total lore committed. So that's different from before. We were doing 5 and 13, I think. 8 and 21 is the new thing. On that, I wanted to ask everyone that's here in the meeting right now, what do you think about for January going back to just 1 and 1? We haven't gotten a lot of the, and the reason I ask is because we had decided previously that we would take the number of layers that were created after the runners-up, the alternate creation runners-up thing. I'm having a hard time explaining things right now. Sorry. If your layer doesn't win, but it's of the 5 runners-up, you can pay a fee to get them to win. And what we've been doing is looking and saying, okay, month after month, we get people that are doing this, that are paying the fee. So that's an indication that we're not making enough layers. So we should move the number up. And then likewise, if we go 2, 3, 4, 5 months and nobody's buying the new ones anymore, that's an indication that maybe there's too many and we should step down. So that's my actual simplified question is should we propose that and see what the DAO says basically for next month?
Sure. And I would want to know, like say with the understanding, if it's 1-in-1, you are almost guaranteed to only get one created, which might be fine.
Right.
Especially based upon what you're talking about, because it's going to be the same one for both measures.
And it might make it more competitive, which could pose an interesting opportunity, right? Like what if we did, for instance, a World Blockchain Roundtable topic where LCPs can be advocated for by anybody willing to show up and talk for their LCP, which might be cool.
That could be.
You mean like a video posting? Everyone needs to vote for this reason, X, Y, and Z.
That's not terrible.
Yes, that's kind of neat.
You could sell an ad spot in Matter, pay a Matter fee, right? Utility for Matter,
layer proposal.
To show your layer proposal in as like a break spot between when we transition from like current events into the questions. Like right after this show
and
spot.
Ultimately, right, like when Den is as big as it's gotta be, there are going to be people who will just like you see on Twitter, half the video ads are TikTok feeds, right? People are going to want to speak from Den to other advertising platforms. And actually, I've already, random aside, I was talking to my marketing team earlier with No Good Inc. And they're like, they're one of the really competitive growth marketing firms in New York right now in a stuffed space. These people are desperate to figure out how Web3 is going to work. And if Den's doing something like that out of the gate already, right, then we're kind of speaking to that, that audience of how, like, how's it going to work in the future where you don't get, as part of the steps you go through, a requirement to go hire somebody who's stolen all your data.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Which, by the way, and this is probably for a different time, but you guys will need to meet them, Joe. They were asking about you specifically, for Den. So
cool. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Although Dave, you might be the right guy to talk to.
I'm generally available to talk about Den stuff, but it depends on exactly what the questions are. I guess it's
like exploratory at this point. They're just curious how it works.
Yeah. Well, I can always do that. I can almost always do that.
My question is, why switch it back to say 1-in-1? We only gave the other month. I think we only gave. I think it was Hyperion Frequency who suggested the 1, 3, and 21 or whatever it was.
The one we're currently using.
We only did that for 1 month, correct?
Correct. Month. Yeah. Yeah. So the reason.
Why change it back to the other 1-in-1? And if we are going to change it back to 1-in-1, I would say that the default should be that 2 get created, so that if the most lore and the most unique voters are the same, then the most unique voter proposal is awarded, and the second most lore then is awarded.
Okay, so here's another thought. What if we need to
hold on, because I misspoke and I wanted to correct something that I said a minute ago.
I think you might be right, man. That's a good point.
I didn't mean 1-in-1 as in the number 1 from unique and the number 1 from lore. I meant 1 from each category. So it would be like 1 and 8, for example.
What if we did 6 and 6 and did 12? The 12 layers of Christmas.
Just do a buttload of layers. Yeah. I think that would create a bunch of, like, I'm not even using the Bitcoin layer right now as much as I need to, and I'm a huge Bitcoiner. So like, as I see layers that are relatively stagnant coming out, Minecraft doesn't even have a logo or an avatar, things like that. That's part of the like metrics that I'm looking at to like think. This is eventually how we automate this, right? And if we were automating this independently of how we've changed the winners to be from 5 to 13 to 8 and 21, independent from that, we've had like 4 or 5 months where there's been no interest in, no signaled interest in creating more layers than what we have. And we've actually had signaled stagnation from layers that did get created.
That might mean we've got too much, but it could also mean that there's a threshold floor of creation that needs to be hit before it takes off. So, and I'm not sure which one the data will support better because we don't really track both.
Like what should be the baseline, you mean?
Right. Like maybe what the real magic is, more than 10 every month, and people feel like has a fighting chance, so they're more likely to advocate for it.
Maybe it's a cart and the horse problem. We have the cart as first, meaning the layers, and the horse are the subscribers. And we don't have enough subscribers to draw more people to more layers.
And yet, inviting people to create a layer when they're likely to get it created may be the exact marketing campaign one needs to increase subscribers.
Right.
This also might be something that shows up every year this time of year too. If you think earlier this year, like we had more layers going out that were actively, like we didn't have layers going out that didn't get used earlier this year.
Right.
Right.
But but we
at
can
the end of the year, people are like there's been a lot of stuff happening at the end of the year, and a lot of it has to do with people traveling and holidays and stuff like that. So I wonder if it's something we'll see again. And that's why I'm just thinking like a baseline for me, like a minimum baseline thing would be 1 layer created at a minimum each month, and that would be pulled from the most unique voters, because that should tell you which one has the broadest support and the highest chance of people like doing stuff with it once it gets created. And then,
but we could also try something. We could try something promotion-y too. Like we could seriously do like 6 and 6, and then there's a 13th thing that you could possibly get for Christmas, right? Like you could enter people in a raffle to win something cool.
I get that from marketing, for like as a way to market it.
Oh yeah, so I mean, it's like
my thing there is I just don't think that that's going to be meaningful.
And my contention to you back is you never really know unless you test it.
We do because like I said, the last 2 months we've got layers that are unused.
I know. I'm right, and that could be. That could be indicative of demand, or it could be indicative of sort of a middle ground of petering out, where the answer could be to double down still.
It kind of brings me also to the thought of if we to draw more subscribers, maybe the hot topic item in the news cycle or something needs to be a flash layer that's created, that then either then could be purchased later, or it could be then put up as a proposal. Example would be the FTX scandal. The DENDAO automatically puts up on, December. Like, let's say that we find out that maybe I shouldn't even use it, but Google Trends finds out that the FTX scandal was the most searched, item for the month of December or the month of November. So December 1, DENDAO creates a immediate, layer about the FTX scandal. And so everyone starts posting in that. Now you have 30 days to start to market this thing, or to put, lore into it to make it permanent or not. You follow where I'm going? In other words, to draw more people into the hot topic, right? Even though it might be a month late, it might be a way to draw more people to DEN.
Right. Well, and
people are active in DEN for those that are already here.
Right. Well, and my theory, I'm not trying to just be a contrarian. What I'm trying to feel out is whether or not the feature of layer creation itself spread wide would, net a certain percent of active layers. And the reason that we're not seeing more active layers is because we're not creating more layers.
We tried that early though, where anybody could create a layer, and we ended up with I think 2,500 layers that had nobody in them.
And I'm certain that that the answer isn't to go back to layer free for all yet, even though ultimately that's how we'll probably get eventually. It'll be like a relatively self-serve act, but maybe
at some
there's
point,
some kind of middle ground where we need to actually pump it to a respectably high level to kickstart it.
Well, my I guess my pushback on that, my feeling on that would be that I do like the idea of having like a topical, almost a dynamic layer that's whatever the current, like a current events, like whatever the current thing is, there's a layer for that kind of thing, right? But at the same time, the idea of making that permanent, like who's interested in going to an Enron layer right now to talk about the Enron collapse?
No, that's
why not make it.
The thing
I would support
more actually, but
the thing I would support is but it'd probably just be an LCP proposal. Would be literally, I support the current thing.
Yeah, whatever the current
then
thing.
Then you just change all the logos every.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, my point.
The current thing. That's a cool. Right? That's a cool thing. Idea. Yeah.
Yeah, but my point would be, think of it though that historical or think of it as historical postings, but the idea was that after 30 days, that DENDAO layer that is created, that is the hot topic or the hot item of the day, then is spun off as a layer proposal that goes into the voting. And if it doesn't win, then that layer becomes kind of dormant. Or
we have a COVID layer, I think, or at least something that was like first responders or something.
There is a coronavirus layer.
Yeah. And there's this first responders layer that was related to that too, and they're just kind of like.
I'm wondering if that shouldn't just be like a mega post, like everybody talk about this thing in, like, for example, FTX, right? Or it could be the Twitter files, for example, when that dropped, right? Like I went in and I picked politics to do it in, but I just basically like you see people do on Reddit with a mega thread, or you see people do like on 4chan where it's like, here's whatever the crisis is, cozy. That kind of thing seems to work if you put it in the appropriate category, and then maybe that could turn into a proposal. That post could be this, like the idea seed for a proposal.
Yeah.
I just feel like we're making too many layers, and so I'm personally hesitant to like.
I think so too. I do think it would be appropriate to give options. Like, let's say, hey, create one only, create up to two, create, or leave it as it is. Deny this proposal. It doesn't hurt it if we don't create as many layers in a given month. It's not the biggest deal. I don't think anybody's going to be.
I would propose that we have an advisory vote where we see if people want more or less, and give people a chance to sound off. That's what I would suggest.
But couldn't you just do it in a single vote though?
Well, you could, but if you want to have like, I just mean like some advisory opinion about whether or not we increase the amount or decrease the amount, what people are feeling. Because there could be somebody out there who's like patiently voting for their layer idea, is ready to rock and use it. And
that could be for
those people to be getting shut out and just not feel like they can say anything.
That could be what we do, actually. Joe, Hyperion Frequency said a minute ago, why couldn't there be like multiple choice or something? I forget exactly what he said, but it could literally be, the vote could be, should we increment the number of layers by one, reduce it by one, or leave it the same? And then in that proposal is a whole discussion thread under it. It's already a discussion thread.
Yeah, totally.
It gets kind of convoluted though that way for maybe the average person who's not going to spend a lot of time understanding it. But we want informed voters.
Yeah.
So,
well, exactly. And I'm not really as worried about the people who might not be engaged with it because it's confusing. I'm interested in the people who might be engaged with it, no matter how complex we make it.
Sure.
Yeah. If people want to come in and offer it, it's a freaking open forum. It's pretty easy to do.
Sure.
So, I mean, I think it's a matter of, if we just gave the choices and say, hey, let's do 1-1, let's do a single, or let's do top of each category, or let's do the top unique and the maybe number 2 is still Fibonacci. By lore, you're gonna get a lot more lot in that layer if it's the number 2, right?
Right.
Or keep it the same. I mean, those are 3 pretty reasonable choices. There might be another
And then maybe like a 4, leave it open on the floor and let's discuss, because people have strong diverging opinions.
Which would be the deny. You just leave it as it is, and we'll do something else, right?
But definitely encourage people to like reply in the comments.
Now, can I offer, first? Let's answer Hype Freaks.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to add also with the concern about people not being able to understand it. Not that listening to us is going to make you understand it, but we could link this meeting in that proposal too as a reference. Just like, here's what we're talking about, you know, and why, that kind of thing. So yeah, Hyperion Frequencies question. Did you want to take it, Joe?
Sure. Is there a single matter embedded in each account, and is each profile kind of an NFT? I'm asking from perspective that each profile generates 1 energy an hour, 24 a year. That's a super interesting idea. There isn't one matter in each. It is just that that is the free, and you know, it was the bridging the gap from people who come in with nothing. You know, that you can still do things. It's just that you are limited, and then your reputation builds with matter, and you can do more and more and more, right? And there's even something in the white paper that literally, when it's, let's say in the distant future, when it's extremely hard to get a single matter, that there is a multiplier that is built into the mining that would essentially give you more energy in the future for the same amount beyond that 24. So if you ended up with, you know, over a couple of months, you build up half of a matter, it won't be just one new energy every 24 hours. You would have some multiplier applied there. So anyway,
is it kind of like the energy is set, instead of being set to 0, it's set to 24?
Basically, that's your bottom. That's your minimum gas tank size.
Right.
If you want to think of it that way.
Which is the equivalent of 1 MTR. But technically, you still have 0 MTR because your bottom 0 number is really 24 NRG.
Well, no, you get
actually 24 matter, right?
It's the equivalent of 24 matter. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. It's conceptually 24 matter, but there aren't actually 24 matter assigned to it. Right. That's just your minimum capacity.
Yeah. Right.
That's your reserve tank. You can't go below that. I mean, you can use it, but your allotment. Yeah.
I have something that I think would help drive beyond referrals. If you had a referral for bringing people in, and you either got an energy boost, or you got maybe there's a mining pool for a number of people who are brought in, especially if they're measured by quality. You bring people in who are active, or bring people in who are content creators, that maybe you get some from a mining pool, right? That your referral code is mapped to that person joining, right? I invited this person in, and they now have an account, and they're adding content. That's one way,
right?
That we've talked about in the past, and I think it'd be really valuable. The other is an answer to the common in the entire crypto world, the spiral of exits. That is, people who come and join a project solely to churn value and then exit that value to pay bills, right? So you're talking someone who might be in some part of the world that doesn't have some of the same access that we might to other opportunities, and that's a huge positive. But the issue is the balance of that. And if Den was financed by Andreessen Horowitz, Den might literally go and put more liquidity in there so that people would have more value without it affecting that matter price. And I don't want to get into token price.
You're talking about market making, essentially.
Yeah. Especially we're talking about peer-to-peer. So it's just a smart contract on Uniswap, let's say. And I've had a thought for a while on something, but it would need to be independently done. But it could be something that could be supported, mostly because for research reasons, we would be interested in the behavior and the proof, for that matter, that the behavior systems can not only play well with, but actually affect the economics more directly. And that is that instead of it being a fungible thing, that let's say you have 100 matter and I have 100 matter. It just so happens that you've built that 100 matter up and you hold it for your energy so that you can, keep using the system. Whereas I have 100 matter, but I come in and every week I exit 10 matter, no matter what. I exit 10 matter no matter what. That, we have written up some design for a reputation, an economic reputation score, let alone a content. We already have content reputation. And we're rapidly looking at evaluation and curation a reputation. But the economic reputation directly affects our ability to bring in new people, because of those ones that do churn for it or that see the matter value. Right now, I think 1,000, I don't know what a matter is worth. See, that's how much I don't pay attention to that, but let's say
find out. I can check it out real quick.
Sure. Whatever it's worth is not very much that is being mined daily. And I think it's actually probably a suppressed, it's not probably an accurate valuation of what is happening in the network right now.
Right. Which is proof you guys aren't paying market makers to pump it, like, because that's ultimately who does the pump stuff.
Yeah, but see, that's
the cart before the horse again. The cart before the horse. It's really driving the value of the token from the utility and value of DIN.
And I strongly believe in the path you guys are taking with
rather than forcing the market outside to value the token, pump the token. Where I don't want to see a pumped token. I want to see.
Well, I mean, the problem is not with how we're doing it. The problem is with how the system is structured, such that market makers are also kind of like gatekeepers on radio stations, right?
And that's
your
why
song's not going to get rotation unless you're with the market maker.
My proposal for research would be to drop all of the liquidity contracts, or at least recommend anybody can do whatever they want to do. I don't care about that. I'm just saying that the proposal would be to work with some independent party to build a smart contract that would use your reputation, both content, eval, and economic, to essentially give you a price balanced against and normalized against all of the other participants in the entire system, so that someone who is providing the most value to the network can actually exit their matter at a higher price than someone who is just dumping it constantly. That's what I'm talking about, because essentially what it would mean is that your matter, if you are following a particular behavior pattern, is going to be priced different than someone else's and that directly affects that behavior. So what you would do is essentially bring in the people who are providing excellent content, and they're getting $20 a token, whereas someone who is just spamming stuff and yet still getting some matter, they're going to get 2 cents a token. And that's the type of differential that would really drive the behavior that we actually are calling out.
Well, essentially, though, I this is interesting. I'd like to, maybe Joe, we can take this offline sometime and talk about, because I'd like to hear about. We had spoke months ago about a particular customer, I think, of Dragon Chain, that was dealing with such an issue of how do we stop this mass exodus of the token into the market, killing the price, which I have some ideas about that too. But it's kind of like valuating the reputation of the content provider versus someone who is just trying to be a market maker to push the token up and play the market with the token value. And I understand the difference there. But essentially that's exactly what DIN does though. When you provide solid content, it's going to get more energy, which is in turn going to, earn more matter.
Yes.
And that's your mining. That's the mining function of DEN.
And that's what I'm saying. We're doing it. And I don't know how it would be entry versus exit. So entry is the mining, right? We have it on that.
3 cents per token right now.
See, 3 cents.
Yeah, I looked at it this morning. It was between.
I think on the mining side, we have it covered. I think it really works. Right now, actually. We really do reward the right people for bringing content. We really do reward the right people for evaluating.
Yeah.
By and large, there are some areas where we've found holes, and people, and that's what the whole point of it is with the algorithm.
But I think the digital asset market is shitty at evaluating. The digital asset market is shitty at evaluating utility. Also.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. This is what my proposal is. I think that is what's missing in the crypto world: the fact that the market side is effectively devoid. It is blind to those behaviors. And what does it do? Anyone right now, it's almost like, it's almost like the teacher who gives everybody the same grade. It's like, why the fuck am I studying? Why the fuck am I doing the thing? And people in Den are the same way. It's like, why am I fucking bringing in this great content when these other fuckers are just dumping?
And the signal is dead to my contribution anyway when it comes to the price of the thing.
That's why the thing that you want to provide
that's a problem
is
with market makers
not let
and with
people
oracles
that value.
Actually.
And we're missing that, which is, by the way, in crypto, a gigantic hole.
Right. I agree.
What you need is you need Den Oracle to put these stats out there for price feeds to grab and feed on.
Well, once we get back to the leaderboard development, that's some stuff that'll like put everything up. Like, why are things the way they are? Where is the most activity? Who's doing the most stuff?
When we get there, I know we need to talk to you. You guys familiar with the Lunar Crush guys?
Yeah, I was going to say that
in the past.
Yeah,
they can integrate some data.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That data, like say right now, like say if you look at what I had proposed for the flag, so an identity flag, which included eval, content, and economic reputation, and a few other things to make sure that you knew that really was Dave. It wasn't just somebody pretending to be Dave. The economic reputation was in there because it is apparent that I might really like this content. So let's say Dave posts something, I am posts something, and then a third person posts something. Let's say that I am and Dave are eventually they're basically, without giving me information on our balances or any of that, I can see they have 5-star rep, economic rep, that they aren't just dumping the token. So they're not leaking the value, they're holding the value, which is what I want. This third person, their content was just as great. I might still vote it up, but I'm not going to give them 10,000 energy because they're leaking that value. And if I give them a bunch more energy, which will lead to them getting the matter, it's going to drop the matter price. So it's a way that I could independently affect that, right?
And you as the evaluator has a scarce resource to give away. You can only give away so much energy every day. So if you're deciding who gets, like if you, let's say your goal is to use it up every day, which I think everyone's probably should be, then that would be something that is, well, that would be interesting,
because to kind of change it, to change it just a bit. Think of it
real quick. I didn't get to answer that though. Before you go, one more. The Lunar Crush stuff would be great, except it would be meaningless because people can still go dump over there. You have to say move all of whatever has to be, value is currently residing in Uniswap into a custom smart contract pair that uses that rep, and it basically says, oh shit, you have this high reputation, so you're going to get this amount. And it would be based on, if that person wants to dump all of them, it's not going to get that. It would be, oh, you have this rep and you're only wanting to exit this small amount, then sure, you get $10 a token.
Right. But for people watching this, they're trying to figure out how this conversation relates to the price of this at all, right? Like most projects that were funded by VCs that have private equities, right? Those folks are publishing their DENDAO to their investors. And that's the best granularity they can get. on how the platform is being used, how much engagement is actually happening, how much human attention is allocated to the thing.
Right.
And the human attention being allocated here, is not only more interesting than just MDAO, but it's more granular and more informative. Yeah. And markets don't know how to price that yet because markets have never had to price that.
Well, hold on. They don't even know it exists. Let's be honest.
Exactly. So a part of the answer has to be like teaching people how to think about value in utility tokens.
But content providers on other platforms are not coming to Den because they don't see any payoff reward yet.
Right. Yes.
Because they look at the price of the token and see that it's not moving. Why should I go over there and pick additional postings? I'm not going to see any return.
Exactly. And I would counter that to their answer. I would say, well, why are you letting CoinMarketCap and a couple oracles decide who you think is important when that's
I was meaning like a YouTuber or whatever, content provider, something of that nature. They're just not coming over and posting on Den because either A, they don't know exists, or B, they don't see a return because, YouTube is writing their check.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a screwed up system. And it's something out there, I think, for everybody listening to think about big ideas changing in order to make this happen fully, because we aren't going to be able to do this by reframing everything that happens on Den in terms of something that adds up to an aggregate MDAO that people can use to evaluate a stock. Like it's not gonna, if we're doing that, then we're reinventing the wheel instead of inventing a flying contraption.
You definitely have what I am's talking about, whether you want to call it a horse and cart conflict, or if we want to call it a cold start problem, or whatever.
This is not a one meeting solution.
One of the things I'll just say that one of the things I learned with Den was that I did for a while there. I was like there was a lot of hype trains going on. It wasn't that long ago. I'm sure you remember. There was a lot of hype trains for a lot of things, and almost all of those things were things that we could do on Den. So it's like, oh, you like farming and staking and yield farming and stuff? Cool. Let's do it. You like play to earn? Den is that. It's play to earn. Come on, you earn. It's like a video game basically, right? But what I learned was that that's not probably the best approach, because you get a bunch of people who are only interested in extracting that value. If you frame it that way to them, that's why they come in. That's it. It's fine to do that, but you have to balance that with also talking about like, hey, what else? What is Den and why is it interesting? Which is that it isn't directed by advertisers, right? That is an extremely interesting attribute of Den. A lot of people don't understand how that affects the platforms that they're on, but that's a thing. It's not a monolithic like I would be interested in getting people from Facebook to come over to Den who aren't even thinking about money, or aren't even thinking about like, oh, what do you mean you can earn from don't even care about, maybe find out in 6 months after using it for a half a year, like, oh, these points, I can take them out and use them somewhere outside of Den. I didn't know that.
It's
that kind of person.
It's all about the horse. You get more horses and the value of the token's going to go up automatically. It's just this is what naturally.
And this is what I wanted to say earlier on the World Blockchain Show when we were talking about,
or at least if it is happening, it should register on the price. If the way the price feeds work doesn't account for it, then the price feeds are broken.
I pretty firmly believe at this point that like focusing on utility, just as a general term for what I'm thinking, does calculate typically into movements with the number that people always look at. But the inverse is not true, where focusing on the number of movements doesn't necessarily drive any like adoption or use. right?
Well, it does, but it's only a flash.
Or
Let's
a
look
flash,
at all the crypto bombs that are out there that weren't originally started as shit coins, and they bombed because they focused on the price, and everyone jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah,
And ran
if you
up
tell everybody, hey, look what you can get out of this.
Yes.
Sooner or later, everyone has stripped the hills.
Yeah, and
it also goes to show
built. It wasn't even available yet.
Yeah, well, it goes to show that, like, by the way, whoever's tasked at regulatory enforcement to watch every one of these and transcribe them for Gensler, you guys will probably want to make a point of noting the absurdity with which a social platform trying to incentivize its own user base to create good content has to jump through all these weird hoops because they're worried that doing too much of the work for the audience in helping them figure out how to frame this rather than opening it to everybody.
I'm concerned about that.
Discuss. Like,
it's something I think
gums
about.
the works up, man. You cause everybody to have to jump through hoops that don't make sense in the use case because you don't understand that this is a new thing. It's not a security. It's an asset that represents levers we can pull to help people incentivize behaviors they want, and they get to see how it works and vote how it works. And if you hobble us with certain disclosure requirements, you make everything into a financial frame of reference that people are either lawfully required to disclose, defeating the purpose of the social incentivization process.
I have to wonder sometimes.
You guys are screwing things up for everybody.
I get personally uncomfortable.
Make Gensler read it for us, please.
I get personally uncomfortable talking about a lot of that stuff because I see how folks' words can be taken out of context and then used against them and stuff. Like watching the library case, which is a social network basically kind of thing. But and this is something we don't need to go into or whatever. But I wonder sometimes when I'm thinking about this stuff, if it isn't better to literally just turn off Ethereum and be like, look, here's a social site where all of the tokens in it work within it. You can do something with everything you earn in here and think of it as a big video game with incentives. And it's like its own little silo. Like, I wonder,
right? But
I don't want that. That's not what I'm.
Right?
That's not what I want.
Regulatory trap.
That's not what I want it to be. But I just wonder if it was like that, if it would make a difference to where, like, how not only new users perceived it, but because like the black eye that crypto has, kind of thing. But also,
there are lots of lawsuits around sweepstakes offered by cereal box prizes.
And I'm not even talking about like sweepstakes or anything like that. Literally,
I know.
Like, make a free account, earn matter gets you energy, all that gets auto staked. You get lore, you vote on layers, everything
No,
we do already. Like, I'm just wondering if, like, severing that marketplace.
They've got a regulator waiting in tow for you to have to interface with if you get to that point too. So,
and not even just the regulators, just talking about like the types of interested denizens.
You right? Get the cereal box
talking about non-crypto.
Sure you're not creating real money.
Non-crypto denizens who want to use it for what it's good at, or things like that. I just wonder if that would make a difference, or if it would be an interesting thing.
Worth going down that rabbit hole, maybe.
I wanted to, Joe. I sent you a private message. Did you read it over in our chat? Do you want to do that, or you want to hold off?
Oh yeah, we were going to do that. I forgot totally. I have a migraine, so I'm out of it on that.
Okay.
But yeah, totally.
Okay, cool. We haven't announced it yet. You can set up to do it, and I'll say what we're doing, or you can just do the whole thing.
Yeah. So we were going to propose, and we think about doing it live, but I'll just do it after. Because I would probably screw up if I did it live. That wanted to propose a new program. So there's DENDAO, right? And we have DENDAO, and it has a lot, and essentially it's all team members that built the thing, and however, we have the 3 votes, and you could think of them kind of like you would think of board seats, where there's the DENDAO lot vote itself. There is the content vote, and there is the owner vote. So, the content vote is related to matter and content creation and people who evaluate content. The owner vote is related to people who effectively have created layers that do well or not. So that your portion of the the owner vote is based upon how the layers that you hold lot in perform, right? And those 3 votes effectively decide everything about Den. Algorithm, LCP, things that we talk about on the show, right? And so the biggest issue has been that the lot vote has been pretty closed, right? And it's not like I don't even think we can exit it right now. I think you hold it, but we can all vote on things. But what I wanted to do is try to open up a program where it's almost like something that would be at most. The proposal is this: that 1 lot for the DENDAO lot can be awarded per month for honorary work, essentially, on Den, and that anybody with DENDAO lot can propose someone to receive a lot that month, based upon their activity. Hey, this person is really producing a lot consistently over time, whatever they might decide, and then we would all vote yes, no, right? And essentially it'd be 1 per month max, and it would just go on forever until, I guess, DENDAO decides, no, let's not have that program anymore. So a new lot would be created when that happens, and it might not be every month, right? And to kick it off, that I was going to basically, because that was the question: do we just do this? Because some people who hold DENDAO lot have done this already. That we could tip it, right? And so I was going to add, what is it? 5 people. 5 people. So Hyperion Frequency, I Am 4IM, Jacob Wayne, Y'all Weird, and Greg. So that essentially to at least give 1 lot to each of you, so that you can propose votes in DENDAO, because that's the only way you can propose votes in DENDAO, right? And to kick that off. So I was going to do that. And then I meant to have already proposed the DENDAO governance issue, but I didn't get to. So anyway.
Well, you can tip on your own if you're tipping from
I'm going to tip those.
And then the governance issue would be a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
Cool. So welcome, new DENDAO lot holders. In advance. You don't have them yet, but yeah.
I'll send that soon.
Yeah. So I guess with that, the only thing that you should go ahead and point out is in DENDAO, if you decide that you want to propose something with that, use the MISC GI function, and the MISC GI only. Don't and that, because that's the one that ties into the behavior systems. So that's the only caveat I would say. But yeah.
I do have one more proposal. Can we nominate Hyperion Frequency as the official community anthropologist in residence? Unofficial
community anthropologist in residence. The unofficial, the official. Yeah, you could actually try out the levers on your DENDAO lot when you get it and propose that if you want.
Game on. I'll do it.
Yeah. Hit me up if you can't find it.
Fully support his candidacy for this one. He moved for it, so in the open chat. So
it's got to be a MISC GI though.
Yep.
Just if you're looking around for which one it is, which lever to pull.
Okay, well, seconded, and I hope you guys all vote for that.
Cool. Fantastic. And he's in chat. Good. So he heard us. Awesome. Cool.
Right on. Okay,
cool.
So I'm gonna tip those directly into those profiles.
Awesome.
Probably right now.
Sounds good. And then, so other than that, look for that vote that goes up that talks about, having the ability for people to nominate somebody once per month. And to clarify, 1 in total per month. Each person doesn't get a person to nominate each month, or we'll get 30 new people a month. It's overall one can go out per month, but it doesn't have to be 1. It could be 0.
Yes.
And then other than that, thank you, Hyperion Frequency. You've been great. And I look forward to those interviews you want to do too when you get set up. Let me know if you need any help with that. I just wanted to say that the current standing in the LCP, I don't think we said that, so I'll just hit that real quick, is that if it stops right now, we've got 4.5 days left. on the clock. But if it were to stop right now, we would get Den's Got Talent as the #1 by unique voters. And then we would get Selfie, and we would get Quotes. Both of which are fun social layers.
Nice.
Quotes and selfies.
Awesome. Nice.
Quotes would be good. Quotes would be easy to generate content for, right?
Quotes would be.
Yeah.
Quotes would be easy. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. What?
Easy content
to generate content for. Yes. Like here's a great quote from somebody that's meaningful to me, and here's why.
You could get stuck there reading and reading and reading.
Oh yeah. You could get inspired in there. You could get downright inspired.
Advanced threading by tag for like if there are denizens who were quoting, right?
Yeah, that's something that I definitely want to see, even just for the music layer and stuff. It's like, okay, I only care about metal. Only show me those tags, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I'm literally gonna just follow Satoshi Shon around on social media for a week and drop a ton of Satoshi Shon quotes in.
There you go.
The guy drops philosophical gems everywhere he goes.
I'm gonna do Eeyore. Eeyore,
I'm just a donkey. Yep. Yep. It's fine now, but I'm just waiting for something bad to happen. Yeah. Cool. Well, all right. That was a constructive meeting. I believe. Yeah. Anybody? We got like technically 5 minutes left on the call, but does anybody else have anything you want to chat on?
If we could circle back to the initial newbie that joins Den, Lisa Mighty Davis from the Mighty Layer. I remember her making a comment, something about just 24 energy. A person can burn that up real quickly. And when they come over to the site, they may not be familiar with that model because they've come over from, say, Facebook or wherever, Reddit, where they could just, almost endlessly post,
Yep. Yeah, that's a big difference. It's definitely probably the most jarring difference immediately.
Yeah, it would be nice if we got more feedback from newbies to know, or
like what is why too people stringent become inactive. Are you not talking as much as you were otherwise?
I would be interested to know like how long did it take you to realize X mechanic exists? Yeah. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Or even like this is a good post probably is like, what are some things you wish you knew when you first started Den that you took you a long time to figure out? Kind of like people do with video games, where they're like, things I wish I knew when I started No Man's Sky or when I started, Skyrim or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well, I bet you 90% of the people too would probably answer not realizing that we could come to the governance call and actually influence the way things get decided. Right. I bet you there are a ton of people that don't even know we're doing this right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that, I do think that one of the lowest hanging fruits is just something that if you look at the Den posts recently from the Den account, there's been the FAQ going into layer posts in the Den layer. And that's, I think, something we probably should have done a long time ago, but that makes it in a different place to find it. Probably it's first of all, it's searchable by the Den's, like the layer search. You can search for something and it'll find like in one of the posts that has those keywords. But stuff like that, where it's more, here's how the things work. Just onboarding in general. Could we explain things more thoroughly? Are we explaining them too thoroughly? And we need to simplify. So it's less daunting. Those kinds of things, I think, are the lowest hanging fruit for new denizens, coming in.
Yep, absolutely. It raises another possibility too, and maybe this is something that we can talk about for a more future forward conversation about how to amp this up. If layers could turn on a pinned slot for DENDAO, or it was on by default and they can turn it off. Would it be
that's something
then to allow DENDAO a bullhorn into every layer if your layer decided to allow it.
Something like that is going to be really useful for like cross-posting. Let's say in the cryptocurrency layer, if there's an alert where it's like, oh, there's a giant dangerous exploit that just hit.
Right.
Like they came
somebody
out.
wants to invite
boom, right at the top.
Layer
hey, security alert. that could be a pinned thing.
Yeah.
A way to do that quickly is something we talked about in a decentralized way where the layer owners can decide, okay, this needs to be pinned or that kind of thing.
And this is crossed from that other layer, or like we want literally the security layer's latest if they use this tag to show up in this spot.
That could be a pinned post.
Or it could
even
be just
as a GI or something.
Or it could be just a notification, button on the right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be its own special interface element as well. That's
Greg, what's your handle? I don't actually know what your Den handle is.
My handle is probably the same as it is everywhere else. I believe it's at Design Heretic.
Design Heretic?
Design Heretic, yes.
Yep.
Cool.
I remember seeing it.
Which literally is.
Oh, it's weird.
It's curious where that came from.
It's Greg Lang at megatexas.eth, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway, I was like,
I remember seeing. Maybe I saw it somewhere else.
There it is.
No, Design Heretic is me pretty much everywhere usually, but it was an upgrade over Fish Gravy, which was my experiment with putting two notable words together in a portmanteau and using it as a username.
That's awesome. Cool.
All right. Well, that's what we got.
They're all out. 5.
And they're all out. Okay. So let me look here and see what it says at the top here. Boom, we got it. Here, I'll pull my screen back up, and I've got the owners.
Yeah, I don't know when they show up. I don't know how.
They're right now. Greg's there. Nice. I am's there. Y'all weird. Jacob Wayne, Hyperion Frequency, and fast. Drew 584. Whoever that is.
Stack and metaverse real estate, man. That's the real HODL opportunity.
All right. Fantastic.
Yes.
Now I know where to find how to easily find you. I can just go click on your name and be like, what have you been posting? Where's your recent DALL-E stuff? Nice. Very nice.
That's so
cool.
All right. So, DALL-E was supposed to make that a horse with a dachshund in an astronaut suit mounted on it, but it came up with this, and I thought it was pretty good.
Here's an interesting question. I have no idea if this will work. I'm going to check something. See, okay, I'm going to go to conspiracy theories because that's it. That is anon only, correct?
Yeah.
I will dox myself in there, by the way. I don't really care if people correlate my anonymous post to my actual post.
Okay. I was wondering if I could tip the anonymous user.
Can't you?
Or I don't know if you can actually tip the anonymous.
Let's see here. I know I can't on the profile level.
What about the post? Yeah,
I can't on a post level either.
Okay,
because I was wondering, it's like if I could give one lot to the anonymous user.
That would got you. Gotcha. You can though. You can go to the anonymous account and just look at. Just FYI, every time you post anonymously, in the bottom right corner, if the layer has it enabled, it's up to the layer owners. If you toggle the switch at the bottom to anonymous, when you post, it posts as an account called anonymous, and you can go to that account and look at everything it's been posting. So any user who posts anything anonymous in any layer will show up in that list. So it's kind of an interesting thing to look at and say, okay, what are people posting that they don't want to show their real face on? That kind of thing.
And it's an interesting thing too that the anonymous layers have seen very interesting rewards. And somebody
That's true.
I think something broke that I had this huge reward, and it was literally because I think on Roundtable last week, Lisa said she had posted something in conspiracy layer. I hadn't seen it, so I went in and I just voted it up like crazy. I don't know if it was just for me, but I think that essentially an anonymous post, because the system can't reward the content creator, it goes to the layer. And so if you're holding a lot in that layer, then you're going to get what normally would be the content reward.
Yeah. So that's a layer, specifically that layer, the lot, assuming it's used, right? With the assumption that it's actually used, that lot becomes pretty valuable because now you're no longer getting the 5% cut of the mining. You're getting 100% of all the mining minus the DEN cut, going distributed to the lot holders. So you actually end up getting big payouts and if you think about, and I'll go out with this, to wrap up, everything really is organized in an interesting fashion on DEN, where it all sort of locks together with different gears and cogs that affect each other. Because even that, the amount of matter that one receives from the lot that they hold is used as a measurement, like the matter emissions from a lot. That's used in behavioral governance in DENDAO votes, for example, for governance weight, right? And maybe other things too. But all this stuff. Oh, and so it's used in that. It's used in staking for getting lore, right? For the lot that you hold. That in turn gets you to get to vote and get more lots, so you can get more matter, so you can get more lore, and so you have more governance weight, and all this stuff sort of like interplays. And it's interesting. Anybody who's interested in like sort of gamifying that is it's got a lot to play with there. Yeah. So a bunch of stuff going on.
Oh yeah,
cool. All right, so
I love the conspiracies layer. It's really great, man. It's so much fun stuff to read in there.
Yeah. Only anonymous.
Yeah, anonymous. Yeah, you're not allowed to post any other way. You can't turn the anonymous toggle off in that layer.
You know what? One day we ought to consider doing pseudo anonymity support as well, so people can create one-off monikers.
Alt accounts
and disappear.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, if you have an alt account, just like email support, so you don't get accused of being a sock puppet account or something like that. Cool.
Nice.
I think that wraps us. I think that's it.
Yep. Good.
Cool. So I don't have my notes pulled up over here anymore. Was there any reminders at the end of that agenda?
No. If I'm not on next week, I might be in Mexico. I want to tell everybody Merry Christmas.
Right on. Yeah, I may.
And to you.
I may or may not pop in myself. I'll be out for the next couple of weeks. Probably. I'm not doing a coffee show. I may or may not be on World Blockchain Roundtable the next two, but that's just me. Cool. That's all I got. Anything else, Joe?
No. See you guys. Okay. Thanks. Merry Christmas.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Merry Christmas. Merry whatever. Happy holidays, I should say. Whatever your thing is.
Or if you hate holidays and you don't like celebrations, then
do it gleefully.
Humbug, and I hope you enjoy your work week next week.
Humbug with love.
Humbug. See you guys. Appreciate you.
On the fire.
Thanks.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, raw capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.